Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. BiteSquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Turn this thing up. Let's do this.
Always passionate, always fiery. You're listening to the Strom Sports Show. Take it away, Steven.
Here we go now on a Sunday morning. Welcome into the Strom Sports Show on TalkNorth.com. Steven Strom here. Big shout out to my producer, Brandon Morton, Jim Suhan on our website, and my video editor, Matt Augusta. We got a lot to get into today. John Krasinski of The Athletic will join me. He is back from Vegas, and the Wolves had a pretty successful Summer League. I think if we all look at that, 4-0, now they're in the so-called playoffs, what they do out in Vegas. So he'll come on, he'll join me, he'll talk about some of the guys over there, Josh Okogie, Naz Reid, Keita Bates-Diop, how they've done, and also touch up here on the offseason and some of the misses that they had this year with D'Angelo Russell and Russell Westbrook, obviously, just signing with the Rockets. We also have to get into the Twins, man. Twins had a huge win on Friday night, one of the biggest ones of the season, in my opinion. They're down 3-1 late in this game. They come back, they take a 4-3 lead, then they get an insurance home run with Mitch Garver. The bullpen looked pretty impressive. Taylor Rogers shuts the door. Gibson gets into some trouble early, so we'll talk about their second half keys because it's getting tighter and tighter now. 6.5 up in the AL Central. Now, I'm recording this on a Saturday, so I don't know if they're going, obviously I don't know if they won yesterday because they obviously had a game. And then I want to touch up also on the Vegas over-unders that came out this year. I'll tell you the Vikings, and I'll tell you if you should hit the over, you should hit the under. So we got a lot to get into. We'll begin here with the baseball, followed by John Krasinski, and then a little Vikings talk. Okay, so the All-Star break couldn't come soon enough, I think, for the Twins. After getting off to a 40-19 start, the Twins really played 500 baseball since that mark. They went 16-14. It looked like they, I don't want to say looked tired, but they weren't doing the same things that they were doing when they were winning. The fundamentals were off. They were making fielding errors. The pitching obviously came down to earth. The hitting went a little silent at times. So I think it came at a good time. I think it was a good way to regroup over this All-Star break. They only obviously had 2 guys in it this year. So I think when you look at it from that standpoint, that the Twins break, it was much needed. So here's a couple of questions here that I'm looking at for the second half. Number one here is, will they make a trade? It seems inevitable that the Twins will be buyers by July 31st, I think the trade deadline ends. And they've been linked to some guys here. Madison Bumgarner, Marcus Stroman, guys from Kevin Giles, bullpen guys. What are they going to do here? Because once again, this is a Twins team that you don't know. A lot of guys are on one-year deals. Marwin Gonzalez, you have Nelson Cruz, you have a bunch of guys here on one-year deals. What that means is you need to be all in now. You don't know if you're going to be in the same position as you are in next year. And we've seen that time and time again with the Twins. Wild card appearance to no playoffs. It's becoming a trend. And I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs automatically next year, but I'm saying when you're in this position and you are first in the AL Central, you're up 6.5, you're the second seed in the AL right now, you need to go all in. You can't have any regrets here. So will they make a big trade? Here's what I and you should be rooting for. We should obviously be rooting for the Twins to win, but at the same time, I want to see the pitching struggle. I want to see them struggle. I want to see the bullpen, and I want to see the starting pitching struggle. And if that means the hitting needs to be absurd for them to win, that's what I'm going to cheer for. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I don't trust this starting pitching. I do not trust Kyle Gibson. I love Jose Barreros, but I do not trust him as well. I love Jake Odorizzi, but I don't trust him either. And that's just a fact. Do you trust them going into Houston or New York or Boston or Cleveland to win you a game? I don't. I saw yesterday Kyle Gibson was being applauded for going 3 innings with no runs, and then the 4th inning he implodes. He threw about 90 pitches by the time it was the 4th inning. I do not trust these guys. And in order for the Twins management, front office, whatever it may be, to wake up and maybe smell the flowers, they need to struggle even more. Because the more the Twins win and the Twins pitches decently, it kind of it blemishes a lot of the mistakes and a lot of the inconsistency of the pitching rotation. I think a lot of times teams do this when you're winning. You don't really, I mean, let's be honest here, winning cures all, right? So if you start winning, like the Twins are, you maybe look past some of the things that could haunt you in the future. Starting pitching, bullpen. So what I want to see from now on is the starting pitching's a struggle. And I know it's crazy for me to say, obviously, as a fan, but I think that's what we all should be rooting for, because then maybe management will see, okay, we have a problem here. Okay, we want to go get a Bumgarner or a Stroman or a Chris R. I don't care at this point, but they need to get one more guy in that starting rotation to give me confidence going into New York or Houston. And that's just the bottom line. The bullpen obviously is troublesome at times, but I'm more worried about the starting pitching. If the starting pitching can give me 5-6 innings in the postseason with about 2 runs, I would take that any day of the week, and I'd give it off to the bullpen to pitch 3 innings. Now, there's certain guys in the bullpen that you trust more than others. I mean, I think Taylor Rogers is making a name for himself right now, and I think guys like Trevor May are a little more trustable. But some of the Matt McGill, some of these other guys you don't trust in a big spot. But if a starting pitcher is giving you 6 innings, well, the bullpen just needs to go 3. Okay, and it's a simple game at that point. You need to find 3 guys that can pitch you an inning of shutout ball in the postseason. Easier said than done. But the Twins pitching has to be the guys in the postseason. There's no question about it. That's what wins you games. All right, number 2 is, will the injuries catch up to them? No team in baseball, obviously, like I said, needed a break more than the Twins for mental purposes and for injury purposes. C.J. Cron, Eddie Rosario, Wilson Astudillo, Jake Odorizzi, they're all on the injured list right now. And plus, Max Kepler was day-to-day with a knee injury. He did play yesterday. But this is a season here where what is going to be dictated? Are the injuries going to hinder this team's potential and this team in the postseason? Because these are things that you just can't control. And I know this is what sports about. It happens to every team, but certain teams are unlucky than others. And I think the Twins have really battled and faced a lot of adversity through this first half of the season, and you've got to be happy the way they've responded, because they've figured out they've got a pretty deep team. I mean, certain guys are coming up and proving that they can play. Astudillo was one of them. This new kid, I don't even know how to say I don't know how to pronounce his name. It starts with an E. He's a second baseman. He's come up and he's been a stud. So there's been some good and bad to this. As the injuries kind of piled up, you learn certain dudes in the system that were pretty good and, could be there for a while. The next thing here is, I personally think, will the veterans on this team elevate the Twins in big spots? When you look at Nelson Cruz, when you look at Marwin Gonzalez, when you look at Jonathan Schoop, who's not an everyday player, but still, those 3 guys, I think, the Twins are going to look to when it comes to big spots late in this season, because they're going to face a stretch here where they're going to lose a couple in a row, and the Indians are going to win a couple in a row, and it's going to be tight. I don't expect the Indians to go away anytime soon. They have made a statement, and they've made it clear that they did not care that the Twins were up double digits in this division at one point. They have battled, and they're right in this right now. I mean, they take 2 out of 3. They're, 4.5 out, right? Because they're up 6 right now. They're right there to take this division. And if you're the Twins, you cannot look back. You need to continue with your foot on the gas and continue to play consistent ball. Now, what I mean here is Nelson Cruz is a proven postseason hitter, okay, and player. He won the ALDS MVP, whatever it may be in that division series. Nelson Cruz has proven that he's a tremendous postseason player. Marwin Gonzalez has obviously played in huge games with Houston. And then Jonathan Schwab, who was on Baltimore. He was on those really good teams with Buck Showalter. They just never couldn't get past the first round. But those are three guys I'm looking for the Twins to really lead here, because you've got a really young team in terms of Buxton, Kepler, Sano, a lot of guys with minimal playoff experience, and same with the pitching rotation. Odorizzi, Barreros, Gibson. I mean, those guys have been in there once. So I think a big part of this second half here is some things to look at. Will the Twins make a trade? Will they complete this team with a starting pitcher? Will the injuries catch up to them? And what veteran will elevate this team late in the season? Those are my three big questions and keys to this second half as we head to the mattering part of baseball, which a lot of Twins fans have not been accustomed to over these last few years. John Krasinski, he is up next. He'll break down everything that's gone on in the Vegas Summer League with the Wolves, and a little offseason talk. He is up next. And we're joined by John Krasinski, senior writer for The Athletic. He covers the Wolves and the Vikings and was just out in Vegas where the Wolves went a surprising 4-0. First of all, John, thank you so much. I know it's a travel day for you. Thank you so much here for giving me some time.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steven. Appreciate it.
All right, so let's get into the Summer League first, and then I want to get into some questions from the offseason. So, big win yesterday. They come back from 20 down against the Heat. Just tell me overall over these last 4 games some things that stuck out to you about this team so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done a pretty good job of roster construction. We've seen some teams that the Wolves have sent here with really not a lot of talent, and it almost seemed like they were sort of slapped together at the last minute because they had a roster full of guys at the NBA level that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of room for any young guys, young up-and-comers. But I think Gerson Rosas and his staff have put together a quality group. And you see guys like Naz Reid, they signed him, who was kind of projected to be upper second-round draft pick, slid out of the draft, and they got him as a free agent and looks like a player, looks like a guy who can be in the league for a while. And then you got guys like Jordan McLaughlin and Tyus Battle, Josh Okogie, and Kata Diop are playing as well. And so they do have talent, but above and beyond that, is they have a team that was just playing really hard. And one thing that Ryan Saunders and this new Wolves coaching staff is really preaching, both in Summer League and then we'll do it when the big team gets together, is they need to have a cohesiveness, a chemistry, and an aggressiveness that hasn't been here for a couple of years. And so you saw a team that was actually playing hard defensively, which is sometimes hard to find in Summer League. You see that's playing together, and I think the results are bearing out to show that.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, especially defensively. You're starting to see them, it's getting better, they're growing, and I think a lot of it has to do with, look, they're in Summer League, they know if they don't defend, they're going to be obviously off the team in a couple, an instant, so I think you're going to see a lot more effort in these types of games, but from what I saw, you did see an improved defensive team. Now, you talked about Gerson Rojas really quickly. What are your thoughts on him so far? What kind of culture is he looking to bring to this Timberwolves team?
Yeah, look, he's come in and been working at a breakneck pace, I think, for the last month and a half or so that he has been on the job, and he's trying to do two things. One is he's trying to be as proactive with the roster as he can in making some changes that are needed and addressing some holes that are certainly there. But he's also knows that his hands are sort of tied behind his back, just given the salary cap constraints that they're under with some contracts. And so what he's really trying to do is build a basketball operations department that is trying to turn over every leaf, trying to look under every rock for scenarios to add talent to a team that doesn't have a whole lot of money to spend.